hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Ruhls Podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Ruhls Podcast. Mark's here.
Hello.
Hi, Mark. Caitlin's here, too.
Hi there.
We are recording this episode on Memorial Day, so we would like to say Happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. Obviously, here at Outdoor Ruhls, we recognize all those Americans who gave their last full measure of devotion so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy today. So we recognize and honor all of those brave Americans that made the greatest sacrifice. That said, we are enjoying a holiday weekend here, so there's been some things happening. Mark, what have you guys been up to?
Well, we headed up on Friday to Potter County for the first time in what feels like forever. Did a little trout fishing. We're going to do some turkey hunting, but it rained a lot.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, you guys had like weird weather in Pennsylvania this week, right? Like, wasn't it like mid 90s at home or something in the middle of the week last week?
Yeah, it was 95 in the beginning of the week, and I think the high on Saturday at camp was 47. So
wow.
It was quite a change.
The high was 47?
Yeah, it was cold. It was very cold.
That's unfortunate. So what were you guys able to do while you were up there? It was kind of a quick trip, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice with the holiday weekend and taking Friday. We left pretty early Friday morning. And I mean, our favorite things to do up there is just kind of explore and not really have any set agenda. The girls on Saturday wanted to go into town, and that ended up being kind of a zoo, so they didn't spend much time there. But then I got to go trout fishing together there. And then we always like to, and you'll remember as a kid, Mike, going to Ole Bull State Park, which is a campground, like an RV campground that the state runs, but it also has a bunch of day use picnic areas. Mm-hmm. And it has, I would say, 500 yards of some of the nicest trout waters set aside just for kids, 15 and under. And it's just, I mean, for a kid who likes the outdoors, like CJ, like us, it's just paradise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I think you're probably right. It's probably, 400 yards or something. It felt like when we were kids, I feel like it felt huge, right?
Yeah.
But it's not really all that big. But it is an absolutely beautiful state park. It's on Kettle Creek.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's got like a really long and interesting history. I don't know if we want to do that now or if we want to circle back to it, but the park itself and a lot of the infrastructure that's there was built in the CCC era, the Civilian Conservation Corps area, one of Roosevelt's New Deal, Great Depression programs, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so there's a dam that creates a swimming beach, sort of on the upper end of the fishing area, right? With a closed area, and we would always stand there. I would assume you can still do it, but there's sort of an area between the swimming beach and where you're allowed to start fishing that's full of giant trout. Is that still like that, Mark?
It is, yes. I would say it was the one thing we noticed was it seemed like there were less fish this year than we've ever seen in our entire lives. But like one of the first things you do at Ole Bull, or we do, not everybody, but so I guess we would always go down from camp. It's about a 40 minute drive, and mom and dad would get the first campsite closest to the dam because it was also the closest to the water, so they could kind of just watch us. We could go do what we did, and they didn't have to worry about us being anywhere because they could see us the whole time
Right.
for the part until you guys ate and then you were gone. But just just above the dam, like you said, there's a section between the swimming beach and the dam that's probably 10, 15 feet, 10 feet for sure deep. And that seems to hold a lot of big fish because you can't fish it from there to the pretty far upstream of the fishing beach. So the fish just stack there. And then there's a fish ladder. And then the dam section where the water flows over. And then where it discharges out of that overflow, then you can start fishing. So there's kind of two big sections there where the first thing we would do as kids is get bread. As soon as we parked, before Mom and Dad had anything else out of the car, we wanted bread because we would take the bread over and start throwing it into these holes to see what the kind of fish, what the fish were like. And I mean, you'd see, 20, 24, 26-inch brown trout and rainbow trout. And it was like a feeding frenzy. They would just fight over these pieces of bread.
Yeah. And you said the first camp spot, but that's really like the first day use pavilion picnic.
Yeah, I'm
spot,
sorry.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. First picnic spot. Sorry if I said campsite. Yeah, no.
It's also close to the playground, as I recall.
It is very close to the playground, yes.
I got
centrally located.
I got an Ole Bull playground story that involves
I'm
Mark.
sure.
It's you know the one I'm going to tell.
Yes.
The only one I can think of. Yeah.
The only one, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mark and
this is Pop Grant's fault.
Yeah. Mark, you and our cousin Elizabeth, who we call Liz, are the same age?
Yeah, I'm 9 months older.
Yeah. So anyway, we went there and did our thing, probably had lunch, whatever, and everybody else left. You and Liz were probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, I would guess that. She remembers it, I don't. So somewhere around the age where you can remember things.
Right. Well, girls are a lot smarter than boys, so I think they remember things earlier than us. But anyway, Pop Grant was left. All the other adults left, and Pop Grant was left in charge of you and Liz. And he sat down as he would in a lawn chair with his paper, his crossword puzzle. And I believe Aunt Beth was the one who returned to find you and Liz totally 100% naked playing on the playground, butt naked.
We weren't on the playground. We were in the sandbox. Thank you.
Same difference. And I think Pop Grant's quote was, "I just closed my eyes for a minute."
Just for a minute.
He was famous for taking that crossword puzzle, sitting down in a chair and falling asleep almost immediately. So
he could sleep anywhere.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the Mark and Liz at Ole Bull story.
They didn't stop us from playing naked before they went and got a camera and took pictures of it. So
well, right.
Thankfully, there's memories of that.
There's photographic evidence.
Yeah, there's evidence.
We might get arrested if we use that as a thumbnail for this week's episode, but
but I think we told in the Kate in one of the introductory Kate episodes, she talked about catching, a fish that won her a prize at school, and that fish came from Ole Bull.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot about that. Yeah, Ole Bull kind of played large for us as kids. We'd spend 2 weeks at deer camp, and we always wanted Mom and Dad to take us over there, which they usually would a couple times throughout the week. But then, and boy, God bless them for this, because I think about what they did, and I just can't imagine doing it myself. But it was the tradition at the end of the trip, on the last day of the trip, we would pack up and leave camp and then stop at Ole Bull State Park on the way home for 3 or 4 hours to fish before going the rest of the way. And like, Caitlin, you know exactly what happened, right?
When?
On those trips. Like, you can imagine.
Oh, just being dirty and
wet. Every kid fell in the friggin' creek every time we were there, so they got us dry and clean and everything else and loaded in the car, and then took us somewhere where we just got wet and dirty, and they had to do it
and
all
I've
over
seen
again.
Your dad and you in travel mode, where you're like, all
Yeah.
right, it's time to go. I'm going. So I'm impressed with his patience.
I was
and
thinking
ability to
about
do
that this week. I was thinking about that this week because we've always been we go in travel mode. We are from point A to point B and we want to get there as fast as possible, no matter where it is, going or leaving. And it's weird to me that thinking about that was the one time where I can remember mom and dad it wasn't that way.
I know.
But I have to imagine with 4 kids in the car, you just wanted them to play themselves out before you had to listen to them scream and whine for 3.5 hours in the truck. Back then, probably 4.5.
We should ask about that because that probably was a strategy, right? Like, yeah, get out of camp early in the morning, get everything cleaned up, get out of there, and then go somewhere and let us wear ourselves out for a couple hours, hoping that we'd sleep most of the way home. I bet you that really worked.
It was easier to fight getting you back in the car to quit fishing than it was to deal with you whining about being in the car.
I definitely remember fighting about getting back in the car.
Well, and getting you out of camp was probably part of it too.
Yeah.
We do that with our kids. Like, here's this thing that we have to do that I know you're not going to like, but I'm going to tell you about the next thing we're going to do that you will like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they're smarter than we give them credit for, probably. There must have been some strategy involved.
They got all 4 of us to adulthood and none of us are in jail, so they did pretty well.
That's true. So, Mark, do you want to do like a little bit of the Ole Bull story, because it really is an interesting piece of Pennsylvania history.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll let you. I mean, you've done most of the research, but I would just preface it by saying, like, there's a lot of really cool stuff up there. If you start thinking about it, we were so blessed to just kind of luck into an area like that, with a ton of history. Like obviously Ole Bull State Park, the Austin Dam is right there. It was 15 minutes from camp, and we can do a whole episode on that.
Man.
The whole, I don't know, that whole cable company incident in Coudersport, I always thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
That was gonna be huge for that area, and then it fell through. I'm blanking on his name. Who is the Kevin Costner's character in The Untouchables?
Shoot, I'm gonna have to look it up, but I know exactly who you mean.
He died in Coudersport.
Is that true?
That's true. Yeah.
Really?
He died in Coudersport. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't think of his name. I'm blanking on it too, and I should have looked this up before I get into this because I thought I would remember it. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, the story is it's a Prohibition era story, and he was like the lawman. Caitlin just looked it up. It's Elliot Ness. I can't believe I
Elliot
came
Ness.
up with that.
I know.
He died in Coudersport.
He died in Coudersport.
Wow. Coudersport's a cool area.
Is it on the Wikipedia, Caitlin?
I'm sure it is. I just put it in Google and it popped up as an overview.
When I was going to college in Mansfield, which is only, I don't know, what is that, 40 miles or something, east of Coudersport along Route 6 in the northern tier of Pennsylvania, there was the guy that cut my hair up there. His name was Johnny. He had Johnny's Barbershop on Main Street. And a couple of things I'll never forget about that guy. He was he was legitimately in his 90s and cutting hair. And he was the first person that I ever went to that did like the trimming around your ears and the back of your neck with a straight razor. Our barbers growing up didn't do that. And he had a hot lather machine and everything. But I just remember him coming at me with that straight razor, like watching his hand shake as he come. And you were like, he's going to cut my head off. And he'd get that thing against your skin. And he was just as solid and smooth as anything. Like, I knew a bunch of people that ended up going to him and getting their hair cut. He'd never cut anybody with that razor. But he had grown up in the Galton area, which is just east of Coudersport. And he said, there was a time when Galton was one of the biggest communities, particularly in northern Pennsylvania, but like it was 10 times the size it is now during the logging boom, and that it was one of the most dangerous places in the country. I think he said that there was a time when it had the highest per capita murder rate of anywhere in the country. It was, it was the Wild East almost, and so that place was the history of north central Pennsylvania is absolutely wild, from particularly I think from the 1850s or something, through probably the 1920s, kind of a boom and bust cycle up there. And then there was also there was a natural gas boom and a bust, and then more recently the Marcellus Shale natural gas boom, which I don't know that I would describe it as a bust, but it certainly has there's been a downturn in that economic activity as well up there. So it really is a cool place. And this Ole Bull story sort of fits into all of that. But yeah, Mark, you're right. We need to, at some point, we should do the Austin Dam disaster, because that's in the top couple worst dam disasters in the history of the country. And really interesting. And we had a little personal connection to that.
I did always have to laugh because it made me think that, obviously not about the tragedy, but it always was, there was a sign somewhere that said it was the second worst dam disaster in Pennsylvania. And it always made me laugh because how many dam disasters did Pennsylvania have to get the moniker of the second worst? I mean, obviously Johnstown was the worst.
That was the worst. Yeah.
But either you have three,
right.
3 or more. At some point, somebody needed to be figuring out what they were doing when they were building dams in Pennsylvania.
Well, building them fast and trying to make money and not doing it right. There's a reason why all those damn safety rules exist now, turns out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And actually, another thing that we'll talk about sometime, I'd like to talk about sometime, is when we went to camp as kids, the closest neighbor to our cabin was a little old lady named Mrs. Broslett. And she died, I'm going to guess, somewhere in 2005, the mid-2000s. She died one day shy of 100 years old. And she was a survivor of the Austin Dam catastrophe. Her son was killed on a troop ship.
I think he was, it may have been a troop ship, but he was a radio operator.
No.
And
Dad said a troop ship, so.
Pop Bud, well, Dad doesn't remember anything. Sorry, Dad. Pop Bud always said that radio operators were always among the last people allowed to abandon ship because, they were broadcasting positions and trying to communicate with other vessels to effect rescue. So yeah, she was that was in World War II. She was a Gold Star mother. I always think about Mrs. Broslett on Memorial Day, actually.
Dad and I were discussing, do you think she ever even got out of the county? She was incredibly kind to us. And we went past a place at Cherry Springs Park, and Dad said, that's the place. We took her one time over here to Cherry Springs, and she said, that's the house that my husband and I honeymooned at.
Oh, yeah.
A 20-minute drive. Just interesting, a different life, a completely different life than anything that we could imagine.
Yeah, and I mean, geez, we're down the rabbit hole now, but I could probably spend more than an episode just talking about her because, she grew up there. You're right. She survived. She lived in Austin. She survived the Austin Dam disaster. At some point, she ends up moving to Big Moore's Run, to the house that's just below our deer camp. She lost that son in World War II. I believe her husband died in 1976. She lived in that little house from then until she was in her mid-90s. Lived totally alone in that little house on Big Moore's Run, and until she got in the mid-90s when she had no choice but to move into a care facility. But I mean, she was tough as nails, and she talked about, she lived there so long. She talked about her dad catching American eels in Big Moore's Run. I mean, the rivers were undammed when she was a kid, to the point that eels could get all the way up the Susquehanna River from the Chesapeake Bay all the way to Big Moore's Run, the very headwaters of the Susquehanna River system. It's totally insane.
Yeah.
And
Big,
the other thing,
Big Moore's Run is,
go ahead.
Big Moore's Run is so small that you would, most places you're not getting wet past your knees to wade across it.
Well, right. And it starts about 500 yards from her house. It literally comes out of the
Right.
ground 500 yards
Right.
from her house.
Yeah.
The other thing I always think about Mrs. Braslett when I think about eating trout, because we would take her to Ole Bull sometimes. She would go around, we'd take her places when we were there. And she loved to eat fish, and she was really happy if you caught her a couple trout to eat because she loved them, but she preferred suckers. She would have rather eaten a sucker than a trout. She always said they were better than trout to eat. And I've still to this day, I've never eaten one, and I don't know why.
Sounds like a new challenge.
Yeah. So anyway, Mrs. Braslett was a cool old lady. We were lucky to know her. She was full of history.
Yeah, we really were.
Yeah. We'll do an Austin Dam episode sometime. We'll talk about this again.
Ole Bull.
Ole Bull.
Well, he was not a flautist.
I knew that.
I know.
I remember.
I knew he played an instrument.
Do you remember there used to be, I'll probably have to cut this out. There used to be an artist. He was a Pennsylvania artist, I think, and he did like funny pictures. One of the things he did, like there's a opening day of deer season piece of art that's just like a bare forest with like a million orange dots in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm pretty sure he also did like a Pennsylvania history map. And at some point, like in 4th grade, we got one of those in school, and it was like you colored all the little parts in, like it was a colored pencil kind of school activity. And I remember the violin at Ole Bull State Park. Somebody will look that up and prove me wrong, but I'm 99% sure I remember it. And that's kind of how it's always been in my head, that he was a violinist. Anyway.
He was.
Violinist.
You're right.
Yep. So go ahead. What's the little more of the history?
I mean, I don't have it in front of me. He was very, very famous violinist in the early 1800s.
1840s and 50s, I think. He bought, I do know that it was 1852 when he purchased the land in Potter County. But so, like you're saying, sort of early to mid 1800s, he was like rock star level violinist. He was Norwegian. I can't remember his middle name because it's like an unusual name. Ole something that sounds much more Norwegian Bull. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, so at some point in his travels, he decides that what he wants to do is start kind of I don't know if I think it was a utopian thing, but some sort of major Norwegian colony in the United States, right? So in 1852, he purchases 12,000 acres of land in Potter County on Kettle Creek, which surprises me because I can't imagine anybody who knew anything about farming, because farming was sort of at the heart of what he wanted to do. I can't imagine anybody that knew anything about farming could have gone to that part of Potter County particularly and been like, this would be a good place to start, like carve out of the wilderness farm country, because it's not flat. It's very rocky.
Very rocky.
Not great soil. So anyway, the project is essentially a complete and utter disaster.
So he did have people immigrate to his utopia.
Well, yeah.
To start, like this was a bunch of people from Norway came over and planned to plant a community there, and got there and realized they were not farming it.
Yeah.
to the point where it became a running joke, I believe is what I read.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, like there's a Norwegian folk song about it. That's sort of like a folk song that's kind of like people believing everything's better in America, and then, that whole disaster. Now, a lot of those, it is part of the Norwegian migration story for sure, because a lot of those same people who came and tried to make it work in Coudersport for the year or whatever that they were there, because I don't think it lasted more than a year or two. They eventually end up moving to Wisconsin and Minnesota and starting some of the communities in those places. So it definitely, I mean, it's really interesting. And he did start to build a mansion that he called a castle that never got finished. And that is part of the state park. I believe it's part of the state park. You can hike up to it and you can still see the foundation and the parts of his castle.
yeah. And some of the areas, some of the roads are still named. They have some Norwegian. I think there's like Valhalla Drive and a couple other different names from that area that still show at least the signs of that time.
Yeah, and I mean, it is interesting because it is not like as a Pennsylvanian, as a native Pennsylvanian, like I don't associate Pennsylvania with Scandinavian culture. You know what I mean? So it failed to the degree that I wonder if Norwegians and other Scandinavians were like, boy, Pennsylvania's not a good place to go. We tried that once. That was a total train wreck. Go to the Midwest.
Maybe.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was just looking at him.
And really,
sorry.
oh, go ahead, Caitlin.
I was just looking him up on Wikipedia. Apparently, you have other ties to him, Mike. It says that there's a room at the Mammoth Cave Park in Western Kentucky called Ole Bull's Concert Hall, where he once gave performances. Do you remember
really?
that?
No.
Oh.
I wonder where it is back.
I wonder if it's a cave.
Well, I would imagine it's a cave.
Well, it says a room. So.
Well, yeah, there are like, there's a lot of features there. Like there's other kind of like amphitheaters almost, that are sort of caves, but not like that go way back underground. I don't know. Not describing that well, but yeah.
What was his full name, Caitlin?
It was
Ole
Borneman
Bull. Borneman is much more Norwegian.
Do you think it would have been pronounced Ole, or would have been like Ule?
I think it's Ole. Ole. I don't know. Now we're gonna have to get.
I have the key in front of me, but I don't know how to use it. It shows.
So this was. I've talked to people who know of the park and always called it Ole Bull, but I don't think it's not.
I don't think it's Ole Bull. I think it's Ole. We're gonna have to get Nate Weesey, my buddy with all the Scandinavian heritage from Wisconsin, on here to correct us on pronunciation. I bet Dr. Soderberg would be able to tell us. He's Norwegian. Yes. Anyway, yeah, it's just one of those really interesting, little pieces of history.
It is crazy. I mean, if you would go 10 miles east, 10 miles north, maybe a little more than that, 10 miles south, like you could find, there's agriculture up there.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of agriculture around Mansfield and Wellsboro and quite a bit of agriculture around Coudersport. Just like you said, to pick that spot and think like there's nothing flat there, nothing.
Yeah. No, and I think that's before the big timber boom stuff happened. So it probably, it's one of those things, probably, if it had been 30 years later, and I'm taking a stab at it, but, I'm thinking around the turn of the century, if we would have still had all that land and all that timber, it probably would have been super valuable. And I think Norwegians, I think those people have a, timber history as well. There's probably a lot of, really great lumberjacks from that part of the world too. So there's probably ways in which it would have worked, but going up there and trying to start farming was a pretty tough row to hoe. So
I guess you're saying if like Lars Ulrich or some famous Axl Rose tells me that I need to come build a community with him somewhere, that maybe I should get my advice from someone else.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that all Norwegians are.
Well, I'm just saying musicians.
Oh, musicians. I see.
He was a rock star of the time.
I probably would not get involved in any business deal with Axl Rose, but I don't know. I don't know where you pulled that one from, Mark.
Well, I mean, those are the rock stars I listen to. I'm sure I've dated myself now.
Indeed. Anyway, anything else of particular interest happening at deer camp while you were there?
Well, I mean, we did catch the girls. The girls did catch some trout, or CJ did, and we had some friends come over, and their kids caught some fish there at Ole Bull. So that was fun. CJ took her fish and fried it right up, which was another thing we used to do there.
Nice.
I don't know if you remember that, Mike.
But yeah, I remember
catch the first
grilling fish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't like them, but she does, so that makes her happy.
That's all that matters. Mrs. Brown.
Do you like trout? Do you like trout?
Me? No, I'm not a. I like them smoked. I like to smoke trout, make dip out of it, do that kind of stuff. I don't. I'll eat them, but I don't love them. Just grilled the way we used to do it.
It's, people say it's the bones, and that's not even it for me. I just don't. I never liked the taste of it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you're camping somewhere and you can catch fish fresh out of a lake or brook trout out of a creek or something, and grill them right up, I think they're pretty good. It's a nice meal, but it's not something I crave, and it's not something usually when I catch a trout I think, oh, I'm going to keep this and take it home, unless I'm going to go to the trouble to brine them and smoke them.
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're better that way.
Yeah.
You did catch a palomino, right?
So here's a question for my fish biologist brother.
Yep.
So a palomino would have had a red eye, correct?
No, I don't think
so. Did I catch a golden rainbow or a palomino?
Well, I think that might be a distinction without a difference. You caught a golden rainbow, which is to say that you caught a rainbow trout that's just a different color morph. That color morph is bred for, it's not albinism. So I think a lot of people, there's a couple of points of confusion with it. A lot of people think they're albino trout, which they are not albino trout. And you will also often hear them called golden trout, which a golden trout is a species of trout in the same genus as rainbow trout, but it is not the same fish. They're native to California. I don't think there's golden trout native anywhere but in California, and they're stocked a handful of places around the West. There's a bunch of lakes that are famous for them in the Wind River Range in Wyoming. But I think the most accurate description of what you caught was a golden rainbow. Our buddy Craig Lucas is listening to this. He's a hatchery guy, so he'll let me know if I'm wrong. But I think that I think a palomino and a golden rainbow are the same thing.
Okay. I've always thought that, I don't know, that the palominos had the pink eyes or the red eyes. Not that they were, like you said, not albino necessarily, but I don't know. But anyway, it was a 17, 18-inch fish. Caught him on a little jerk bait, which was pretty cool. Fun way to catch.
Matt told me that you had a big fish break a hook off a lure?
So we stopped at Tackle Shack because I know he deals, which is in Mansfield, which is in Wellsboro, and he sells custom baits, jerk baits that I see that a bunch of guys use online. I wanted to try, and they use good hooks. They use VMC hooks and heavy duty D rings, but I hooked a rainbow trout that was over 20 inches, and I had him I had him 5 feet from the bank, and he was doing a little spin that they do, and I lost him. And I'm like, like we've all lost fish, and we know what happened, what we did. And I was like, that was weird, though. I don't know. I don't fully, because I had him hooked. He was hooked good. And anyway, I didn't think too much of it. I fished a little bit longer, and then I walked up the creek. Well, we saw the palomino immediately when we got there. Threw a couple casts at him. He was a little reactive, but not really hitting anything, which is kind of not uncommon for people who fish for him, because everybody can see him. Those fish see every single bait you've ever thrown.
Right.
They've probably seen it. So, and I threw Uzuri at him, and he was a little reactive to it. And then I went down, I started fishing with this new lure, and I bought this lure because it's a slow sinking lure, and the hole we're fishing is really, really, really deep. Which we like fishing the Uzuri pin minnows. Anyway, so I hooked that rainbow, lost him, and then went back up and caught the palomino, and was walking back down after I let him go. And I looked at my rig, and I'm like, well, the rear hook's missing on this lure. And as I went back and looked at the pictures I took of him, and the hook wasn't on it when I caught the palomino.
Huh.
So I got lucky that he hit the middle of the lure, that's also not uncommon. But I don't know.
Did it break the split ring, or the
split ring was pulled apart, it was separated. So either he pulled hard enough. I mean, I fought that rainbow. I mean, he really fought. So either he pulled the D-ring enough apart, and when he was spinning, he got the hook, into the D-ring, and then it twisted itself off, or it broke the end of the hook because the D-ring was still there. I put another hook on it.
Weird. That's a bummer.
That is a bummer.
Yeah. All right, Caitlin, what'd we get up to this weekend?
What did we do? I remember yesterday, but
that's hard to remember.
So yesterday we went fishing.
Yeah, we took Matt's advice from last week's podcast, and I loaded 4 reels up with the 15-pound Power Pro Super Slick. We had a little bit of a rough start with it. I was cursing my older brother just a bit at the beginning.
Yeah, it was like 5 casts in, had a massive knot.
Yeah.
Just below the leader in the brand new line.
Yeah, but like 12
Was it windy?
feet in.
No.
Like 12 feet in from the leader, we got a knot that we couldn't get out. And one of the things, that Nanofill line that I used to fish, and when I took off all the reels, like, you almost can't get a knot in it. Like, a knot just won't hold in it. So like almost any knot you can just pull out. I mean, I probably could count on one hand all the knots I've ever had in that I couldn't get out, and fished for that for like 90 seconds. Yeah. And had a knot in that Power Pro Super Slick that we couldn't get out. I have a line cut. I cut my finger pulling on it. That darn stuff is so thin that you can, if you really wrench on it and you're not paying attention, You can actually cut your finger. But anyway, I
have a story about the first time I fished with that stuff.
Yeah, what is it?
We went down, Dad, Dave and I went down cobia fishing in June in Virginia. Little teaser. And we hooked into the first fish, and it was the first time I ever fished with braided line. Mm-hmm. And I grabbed, it was on a bait caster, and I just put my thumb to thumb the top of the reel, the top of the line. It went out the spool like you would with regular mono, and it cut me fast.
Yeah. Yeah, man,
when it's screaming, you can't put your fingers on it.
No, you don't want to get your hands anywhere near that when it's moving like that. It will cut you. And it hurts because it's like a cut and a burn at the same time.
Yeah, it hurts bad.
Yeah. So we went walleye fishing, which was not too successful for us, eh?
Nope. We caught some other stuff.
Yeah, we caught a few nice smallmouths, and got the kids out.
Robert caught a perch. He was pretty excited about that.
Robert was really excited about that perch. I don't understand why he didn't remember catching and eating perch before, because I was thinking about that. I let him clean perch with the electric fillet knife
last year.
Yeah. But anyway, he was very excited to eat that fish, so we came home and immediately fried it in a little leftover bacon grease and had one perch for dinner.
We ate other stuff.
Amuse-bouche.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
Isn't that what they say at fancy? Isn't that what they say at fancy restaurants? Isn't that the little thing that you get when they bring you out a little taste of something for free at the beginning of the meal?
I don't know.
Isn't that an amuse-bouche?
Don't know.
Oh my!
You don't take me to fancy restaurants.
You're the one.
I thought he took you on a date to a members only club not that long ago. Didn't you go to Costco for dinner?
I did. We went an evening of shopping and dinner at a members only establishment.
$600 piece of pizza.
Exactly. We also got a lot of Nutella. Yeah. So anyway, it was an all right day.
Yeah, that's how I describe it.
Although, Mark, I got to tell you, I started up my the boat, which is another episode that I really want to do a boat episode soon. But the boat that I have, the big boat, has a 90 horse Honda main motor and a 20 horse kicker on it, which I usually, as you would, use the 20 horse kicker for trolling. I started it up and the stupid water's not coming out of the telltale. It's there. Like if I run it hard, it comes out, but you can tell that it's not coming out as hard as it should. And then at idle, it's like barely dripping out. I ran it hard at the end and got it to come out at idle a little bit better, but still not how it's supposed to. And I had that whole thing. I had the impeller kit and everything, water pump and everything redone on that boat 2 years ago. So I am pretty confident it's not any of those things. So I don't know. Hopefully it's just that the telltale line is plugged and I can run some weed whacker cord in there and unplug it. But that's the one that I have it's really hard to test because I can never, when I hook it up to a hose with the rabbit ears, I don't know if I don't get a good seal or what it is, but that motor the telltale never runs the way you want it to when it's just hooked up to a hose. And so I got to fill a whole garbage can with water and it's a giant thing. But anyway, how's your boat, Mark?
From the shop. I took it there because I replaced the water pump in it and I couldn't get the water pump to pee. Which I've never had that problem with ever. And they stuck it in a bucket of water and it peed. So I don't know. I fixed it, but I didn't know I fixed it.
Well, I'm sure they did all that for free.
Yeah. Boat repairs are so cheap.
Yeah.
So they did I did have them do the brake because I was having trouble getting the brakes apart, which on the trailer, that trailer is a big trailer and has big brakes. So at least it got something done, but I don't know. We're going to take it out to the island here. I think next Sunday is our plan.
Nice.
Go down and test it and go down to Battery Island and sit on the beach and watch all the boats go by. And then Dad and I might try to go fish with it somewhere. I don't know. We haven't decided yet. So just try to get some use in before our trip to Virginia.
Yeah. So we're 4 weeks from now, we'll be in Cape Charles, Virginia, right?
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Have you been? Dad said that some of the guys from the bait shop that he goes to are down there or were down there last week sheephead fishing. Have you seen any reports for this year yet?
I haven't looked up specifically any reports. I follow a couple people on Instagram, Oceans East Bait Shop, which when we were kids, we would go down to Chrissy's bait shop, which was on at a hotel just south of Cape Charles. Bailey's is another great bait shop down there we like to go to, but it's a little off the trail for us, unfortunately. But anyway, Oceans East, they have a couple locations, one in North Carolina, one in Va Beach, and one in Cape Charles. So I have seen that they have started picking fish up. You never can tell 100% if it's on the North Carolina side or on the Virginia side, but I assume by now that the fish are in.
Yeah.
Because they were 2 weeks ago, they were starting to catch them good.
Well,
and we will be there for the cobia opener this year, which will be a change for us. We're usually well past the best cobia time, I think. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Should be interesting. I've never caught one, and that's definitely a fish that's on my list that I would like to catch. I caught one and I cut my finger. Do you know how we've never boated a legal cobia. How big? What's the size limit? Do you know? 36. We'll look it up. 42, sure. Or is it 42? I don't know. It's pretty big. I know that. It's two fish for a boat. It's two fish and only one over 52, I think. So it might be 42 and one over 52. So you can have two fish as long as they're both not over 52 inches. There you go. Well, maybe it'll be the year where we get our legal one. Yeah. Everything's a little earlier than what it used to be because of warming oceans. I mean, this used to be a time, too, for black drum. When I was a kid, I remember we'd go down this time of year to try to catch black drum, and now they're already through. But that's one of the fish I'd really like to catch eventually. Yeah.
Are cobia good to eat?
Very good. Oh, yeah. Although I've never eaten one, but I was going to say, I don't know that I've ever had one, but they have a very good reputation.
Yeah.
They have a very good reputation. And they are, the other thing they're known for is when you get them into the boat, they can be really nasty. Mm-hmm. So, you gotta be careful getting them into the boat. You can't gaff them in Virginia waters. Right. You have to net them. I saw some reports that the blue crab numbers are better this year than they were last year. Maybe that they've been in a while. So it gives me a little bit of hope. I saw that too. Hopefully the crabbing will be good. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that too. They're thinking that, it's a big increase from what, another Instagram shot was Luke McFadden said 700% or something crazy. Yeah. I saw it was a big number. So yeah, that's
question.
Go ahead.
When a crab, so I should remember this because we watched it happen to my dad, but when a crab pinches onto somebody, how do you get it off?
I don't know. Scream and wave it around in the air is the method that I've seen employed most often.
I'm just feeling like our boys are close to this age where they're gonna
stick. They need to learn that lesson.
Yeah, it just popped into my head that could happen.
I don't know how you get them off. I know it hurts like crazy. So the only thing I've ever found is try to get them where they think they're on ground. Put them down. Don't hold them up. Right. Get them down to where they feel that they're on the ground, and then maybe they'll let go. But sometimes they don't want to go. Right. They're ornery. I remember now what happened. I think I told your dad to grab it in the back, and I think that if you grab them on one side or the other, like at the back flipper, they can't get the claw that's on that side twisted that hard underneath them, and the claw on the other side won't reach that far.
Yeah.
But if you grab them in the middle at the back of their shell, then they can get underneath and still get you.
That's how it got him.
Yeah. Your dad got caught?
Yeah, he got caught.
I might have given him bad advice that time.
Wow.
Worthwhile.
You're admitting it publicly, too.
When I was a kid, we used to, when we go down to Broadkill, we'd have a cooler. Do you remember this, Mike? And all week we'd crab and fill that cooler. Mm-hmm. With crabs. And, it's funny, as a kid, I don't remember ever having issues keeping crabs alive, but man, do we fight to keep crabs alive. Yeah, I don't know why that is. Yeah, Dad was better at that than us, apparently. Anyway, but I remember it used to be fun to flip the cooler open and then you'd see how fast you could poke the crabs in the cooler without getting got. Yeah. And then you got, and then it was the last time you did that. Yeah, it's not fun after you get pinched, for sure. My favorite crab story is Dad had that 16-foot mirror craft boat that started its life as just a 3-seat open aluminum boat and then
probably when I was 8 to 10 years old, somewhere in there. We were living on Zinsmill Road, and we had the garage, and we tore it all apart and cut seats out of it and put flotation in it and built decking all through the whole thing. And I say we because there were moments where Dad couldn't get into a space to, fasten something down. So I remember ending up like stuck up under the bow of that boat trying to get a nut onto a bolt or whatever. But we took the boat down to the upper Chesapeake Bay at one point and crabbed with it and had a whole basket of crabs, and they were in the boat, a bushel basket of crabs, because that's what you put crabs in. And on the way home, the basket tipped over.
Oh, boy.
And the crabs were able to get under the gap, like in the bottom part of the deck, like had a little bit of a gap. And so the crabs got under that and into the bottom, into the bilge of the boat.
Oh, no.
And there was no way to get them out. And so they died in there. They all died in there. And to the last day we had that boat, I swear, every time it got water in the bilge, it stank like dead crabs.
Yeah.
It was whole, but I mean, it was
every now and again you'd find a crab leg when you drain it out.
Exactly.
Like an old dried crab leg.
It was unbearably smelly for a year. Ugh, gross. Yeah. Let's not do that again. Oh, anyway, all right. Well, I can't wait until we get to Cape Charles. I hope the fishing's good. I know we got a couple episodes coming up. We're gonna do a turkey season closeout with the Mountain Hollow guys here sometime in the next couple of weeks. So that'll be fun. We're gonna go fishing.
We did not turkey hunt. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. The rules redemptive last chance, but it didn't happen.
No,
it was raining really hard at that point.
It's hard for me to get motivated when it's really raining to go turkey hunting. Yeah, we're gonna go fishing again next weekend. Hopefully, we can find the walleye somewhere.
Yep.
What's our perch? Robert's favorite fish to catch?
I don't think Robert cares. What Robert cares about is catching fish that he can eat.
That's CJ. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't like throwing them back.
Every fish.
Right. And then when it's like we catch a legal bass, and I don't have anything against eating a bass, but I don't like to freeze them. I think they're decent fresh, make good tacos or whatever. But like, I'm not going to keep, a half a dozen bass and freeze them. So like yesterday, he was like, "Can we keep that one?" And I'm like, "Well," he's like, "Is it legal?" And I'm like, "Yes, but I'm not keeping it because I don't want it because I'm not going home and cleaning a pile of fish."
This is all because you had started with, once he caught the perch and we put it in the live well, you said, if we don't catch other fish that we're also keeping, we're going to throw the perch back. So then every fish we caught, he's like, "So we're keeping that one, right?"
Yeah. I ended up keeping the perch and cleaning it because that was the compromise.
There was no chance you were putting that fish back.
No. Right. Yeah.
Do you have an eating size of sunfish, a bluegill?
Yeah, I don't know, about the size of your hand. I mean, they got to be pretty nice for me to keep them. I don't know what that length is. 7
Will
or
you
8
keep
inches.
big? Do they get too big though? Do you think?
I don't think so.
Have you ever had a fish that you were like, "Man, that fish was too big"?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you hear that they talk about cobia and they say that or black drum. Black drum are good.
Mm-hmm.
A good one. They always say a big black drum is gross.
Yeah.
But small ones are good. Like I don't know that if I've ever experienced that.
I think halibut, I'd much rather have a 25-pound halibut than a 100-pounder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they start to get grainy.
It's age related, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
more than size. Like,
I guess I don't know if it's size or age, but even walleyes, I've had a couple of really big walleyes where you're like, it's not that it's bad, it's just like a 20-incher would be better than a 30.
So if you're fishing and you're really into walleyes, and you're catching 20 to 24 inches consistently, like you'd consider putting a 33-incher back.
I don't know. I never catch 33 inchers.
Well,
I'm not forbidding
no, but
that in that situation.
Yeah, no. When we used to go out with guides walleye fishing, for whatever reason, I can't say that I've necessarily noticed this, but it was like 14 to 20 inches was like the best eating fish.
Good eating size.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I definitely think it happens. I think that there is a size of fish, with some species for sure, where they just get to a size where the meat just isn't as good. So I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of anybody throwing a perch or a bluegill back or a crappie back because it was too big.
Big, yeah.
Over concerns with
I've eaten some big crappies and eaten some big bluegills.
Yeah, me too. I've eaten some big perch too. And they've always been good.
We went.
Go ahead.
We went from Ole Bull to Line and Run yesterday, and then fished on the dam breast there, and you could really catch a lot of perch and sunnies, and I think we caught one bass and one trout while we were there in about the hour that we fished.
Yeah.
And they were decent sized sunfish, but I didn't feel like cleaning any of them.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of work to clean them, and it's one of those things. It's hard to clean. That's part of the thing for me. It's like it's hard to clean one fish because you got to get just about as much stuff dirty to clean one as you do to clean 20. So I was going to say because of the work I do, I have eaten some perch from places that I know were probably 10 years old or older, and they've always been good. So like there, I don't think it's age, I think it might actually be the size of the fish and the muscle fibers, just the way they get once they reach a certain size.
Should research this.
They are also called panfish.
Yeah.
So they're known for being good in the pan.
Exactly.
Have you started looking for any sheephead recipes? Looking ahead?
No, that would feel like counting chickens that are not yet hatched to me. I hope that our biggest problem on the trip is finding enough sheephead recipes to make.
I would assume sheepy ceviche. Is that what you guys call it?
Yeah, we did that. That was good.
Yep. We like ceviche.
I want to descale one, take the scales off of one and cook and grill it.
Grill the whole thing. I'm game. Stuff it with crab meat.
Stuff it with crab meat.
Yeah.
And we don't have Hunter to outfish us.
That's true. That's annoying. Hunter's annoying like his father that way.
Or do we not?
I
feel like there's the chance he shows up last minute.
Well, I guess we'll see.
He's going to not be invited on the boat. Better consider that before he buys a plane ticket.
Yeah, right. We love you, Hunter.
Yeah, we do. He'd be invited, and he'd outfish me, and it'd make me angry. With my rod.
In your boat.
In my boat.
Right.
I caught the 6-pounder, broke the boat record, and 2 minutes later, he caught a 10-pounder.
Right. Oh, well. Hopefully we find him. It'd be awesome to catch some big ones again.
Yeah.
But
looking forward to it.
Me too. All right. Well, thanks, Mark and Caitlin, for doing another episode.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Can't wait until we're all together in Cape Charles in a month. It's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Sure is.
Yeah. All right. And thanks, everybody, for listening. As always, you can find all the content on the website, www.outdoorruhls.com. Look us up on the socials. We're on Instagram at Outdoor Ruhls, Facebook page over there too. And biggest thing is we would absolutely love to hear from any of you with episode ideas, corrections for stupid things that I've said, or just comments or questions. You can always send us an email, outdoorruhls@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. Thanks again for doing the episode.
Yep. Love you.
Love you too. Love
you guys.
Bye.
Honey and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore, creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor Ruhls.